But fair use is the way these channels are doing it so that they can ultimately draft off the influence of celebrities, athletes, movies, trending headlines, news, using footage in brief excerpts, commentary, combining it all together to make videos that make a massive impact.
If you feel like you're not getting views, then today's episode is for you. We are in a two-part series talking all about trend surfing. And if you did not listen to episode number 1, make sure you go back and listen to that one. We break down what trend surfing is. We give you case studies from everyday creators just like you. And we tell you how to find the trends in your niche. So make sure you listen to that episode. In today's episode, we're going to be sharing the new ways to get discovered, what videos you should be creating, the formula for success on trend surfing videos, and what we learned from one of our favorite actors. That's right, Tom Cruise. Shout out to all the before 2000s babies, and what he teaches us on YouTube. My name is Heather Torres, and you're listening to the Think Media podcast, the #1 podcast to help you grow your influence on YouTube and then turn that influence into a high impact and high profit YouTube channel. And I'm so excited for today's episode, not because we mentioned Tom Cruise, but because you're actually learning about trend surfing. This is one of our favorite things to do here at Think Media. We're going to give you more case studies to that and dive deeper into how you can use it for your YouTube channel. And before we get into the featured content, I want to remind you that our upcoming free 5-day YouTube challenge is right around the corner. You can sign up today at tube1kchallenge.com. We're going to be helping you get to your first 1,000 subscribers and your first $1,000 on YouTube. We'll be sharing brand new content to give you step-by-step on how to get to those numbers and beyond. So make sure you register at tube1kchallenge.com. All right, you waited long enough for part 2. Let's jump into it, and then I'll catch you afterwards to recap what we learned.
In our last episode, we talked about trend surfing, but in this episode, I'm excited to talk about influence surfing, or rather influence drafting. You know, the analogy of surfing is trends are like things that are waves on the ocean, and that if you're out there ready to catch them, that you paddle out, catch the wave, ride it while the trend is big, and then once it dies out, you paddle back out to catch another wave. Influence surfing, trend surfing. But I was inspired because Tony Ariola on the Think Media team actually kind of gave us some different language for this strategy of influence surfing, and he calls it influence drafting. Like in an Indy race, like Indy 500, where one car will draft behind another to really be more efficient and to really speed up, if you will, their results. And maybe you remember the movie Days of Thunder, right? Like I grew up on that movie. I've got a couple stepbrothers and my stepdad. We were into that whole era. That was Tom Cruise, not just Days of Thunder, but Top Gun. You remember that era? And it was this movie all about racing, right? And Indy racing. I actually looked up a couple quotes from Mario Andretti, a famous race car driver, to kind of kick us into gear on the podcast today. And one of his quotes was this: "If everything seems under control, you're not going fast enough." Or here's another one: "If you're afraid of failure, you will never succeed. You have to take chances." Here's another one from Mario Andretti: "If you wait, all that happens is that you get older. Come on, it's time to take action." But I was inspired because as Tony's talking about influence drafting, here's the NASCAR term and what it means. It's the practice of 2 or more cars while racing to run nose to tail, almost touching. The lead car, by displacing the air in front, creates a vacuum between its rear end and the nose of the following car, actually pulling the second car along with it. Right? That's what drafting is. Well, what is influence drafting? Well, when a video is breaking out on YouTube in the YouTube algorithm, it's pulling views, it's getting views, it's pushing views rather. And so your goal is to create a related video, right, that comes right up at the rear end, nose to the following car, nose to the following video, that actually gets pulled along by the influence in that video or the trend. Make sense? Drafting. And so the difference and why we wanted to do 2 episodes with this is trend surfing, in our opinion, they kind of are similar, but trend surfing or trend drafting is events, it's products, it's a recipe, it's a way of doing things, it's a decor style, it's a certain trend in a certain season. And definitely check out the last episode if you want to go a little bit deeper on that. But in part 2, we want to talk about influence drafting. And this is really about people, influencers, people that have influence, a person that is known. When someone is known, when maybe somebody known does something crazy or does something inspirational, all of a sudden that's pushing views on YouTube. And by using this strategy, your goal is to draft your video behind that to get some views from the suggested and recommended engine on YouTube. The YouTube algorithm, once a video takes off, you can draft with it. Because you might not have influence, but this person might have influence that you can connect to. Well, Sean, this sounds real hypothetical. How do you do this? Well, here's some examples. One of my friends, Charlie, has a channel named Charisma on Command. 5 million subscribers, 10 million views a month. And he uses influence surfing or influence drafting basically in every video. Some of his most popular videos, this one has Ellen in the thumbnail, Ellen DeGeneres, and it's 3 jokes that make people instantly like you from Ellen DeGeneres. Now, his channel is all about charisma. His channel is all about how to communicate in social situations. Maybe you want to find a partner, build a relationship with, date somebody, open up a conversation to build a friendship. So it's all that kind of teaching and it's all that kind of psychology and mindset content. But see, some channels, they just go directly at it. They just might be like, how to break the ice in a social conversation, right? But Ellen's not involved. Obviously, you start pulling principles from Ellen DeGeneres, someone who's known, someone who's in the thumbnail, and 3 jokes that she uses that make people instantly like you, and you are seeing influence drafting in action. Ellen's pushing all these views on YouTube as well as just across media in general. So when she shows up in your thumbnail related to your niche and your content, it could be very powerful for driving views for you. And Charisma on Command is getting 10 million views a month, so this is working. He's got a video, How to Be Popular as an Introvert, lessons from Cannell Reeves. And you got Cannell Reeves in the thumbnail. Interestingly enough, you don't have Charlie in the thumbnail because ultimately, if you are new to the channel, you don't know him, but you know Cannell Reeves and you're introduced to his voice and eventually him on camera later on in the video as he uses B-roll and examples from Cannell Reeves' work. But this is influence drafting. Elon Musk, how to achieve 10x more than your peers. So again, you could maybe arguably say, I've done more than my peers, but people may not know you, but they know Elon. So if there's principles from his life of how to achieve 10x more than your peers, you're tapping into a lot of powerful content. And this is seeing influence surfing or influence drafting in action. This works on a news channel as well. We talked about Bobby Eberle, who's a news channel, and whatever your background or your beliefs, some people are conservative, some people are liberal, some people are in the media, some people are conspiracy theory. Like you could be all over the board, right? But Bobby Eberle, he's got a conservative news channel. It's not just trends. He also talks about people, presidents, heads of state, what Congress is doing. He's really talking about American politics. So he gets a lot of views and awareness because he's tapping into trends and influence greater than his own. On Think Media, we did this years ago when I was just by myself. I was a solo creator, as you may be listening to this right now. And I saw an opportunity when a creator named Casey Neistat started a daily vlog. He kind of reinvented the industry because he was bringing a much higher camera quality, much better audio quality, and really almost like a solo person filmmaking channel as opposed to just a kind of a low quality haphazard vlogger. And he kind of reintroduced, he made waves in the whole thing and he was experiencing massive growth. Well, I was watching his vlogs pretty much daily. And one night I was laying next to my wife in bed and I was watching Casey Neistat on my phone. I don't know if that's the healthiest thing for your marriage. I maybe should have been paying attention to her, but I was paying attention to Casey. We could talk about that with our counselor. But anyways, I'm watching Casey and I realized for the first time, of course, he was getting all these inquiries about what camera gear do you use? Bro, your quality is different than everybody's. And he did an episode finally where he explained it, but he actually only He very casually was like, this is the camera. And he didn't say the lens. He's like, this little tripod thing. He didn't say the model. He said, and I got a shotgun mic. He didn't talk about it. So I was like pixel peeping, zooming into every frame to figure out, wait a minute, this is an opportunity. I could actually break down a detailed gear list of Casey Neistat's camera gear. No doubt about it. A lot of people knew Casey. They didn't know Sean Cannell or Think Media yet, right? And we've grown over the years, but I'm a smaller creator at the time, like you may be right now. So I use influence surfing, influence drafting to make this video. This video ends up with a couple hundred, it's on its way to 400,000 views. And really, for the niche I'm in, helping people with cameras, helping people with gear, explaining things, tapping into Casey's influence. We did an episode recently on video podcasting, and we called it the Joe Rogan video podcast formula. And we just talked about why it's good to do a video podcast, because you can tap into YouTube, you can cut clips out of those episodes and not just be on audio platforms. And we just explained some things that Joe Rogan does in a very honoring way to his work and in a very detailed way to serve people that are maybe thinking about starting a video podcast and would like to know some of the technical details behind the scenes. A lot more people know Joe Rogan than Sean Cannell, and this is the power, right, of tapping into influence drafting. Faceless channels across YouTube are earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a month by making whole channels based off celebrities, athletes, movies, actors, tapping into their influence. Emily Baker, a friend of mine, is a former trial attorney, still a lawyer that now is a full-time influencer and YouTube creator, and she breaks down the legal cases between big YouTubers and celebrities. Her expertise of literally opening up the public documents of somebody suing somebody else and reading through it line by line and pointing things out have amassed a massive community of what they call themselves law nerds that want to hear her insights and point of view on all of these huge profile cases with all this legal detail that just comes from her background as a lawyer and as an attorney. Entertainment channels, think about this. If you've ever watched, what are the best new releases on Netflix this month? I watch these all the time. Ending of fill in the blank movie explained. As soon as I finish the movie, I go to YouTube. So these channels are tapping into the influence of a movie. They're tapping into the influence of Netflix. They're tapping into movie reviews, even, and movie reactions. They didn't make the movie. They are drafting, right? There's that lead car pushing the views. They get right behind it with some content, and they're being pulled along by the influence of these other projects. Now, you might ask, Sean, well, how do you do this, though? Like, wait a minute, how can Charisma on Command, like, put Ellen in their thumbnail? How can these movie review channels put clips of these movies in their actual video? How do you actually talk about athletes and celebrities? And without going too far into it, the key here, it's called fair use. What is fair use? It's a U.S. copyright law. And here's what it is. It's the doctrine that brief excerpts of copyright material may, under certain circumstances, be quoted verbatim for purposes such as criticism, right? Like reacting, criticizing, giving your point of view to it, news reporting, hence how news channels can use clips from movies and clips from the internet and clips from all over because they're reporting on it, teaching about it. So if you're teaching 3 jokes that make people instantly like you, lessons from Ellen, you're not just stealing her whole episode, downloading it and re-uploading it. That's a copyright violation. You're using brief excerpts to teach and research, mini documentaries, people breaking things down, without the need, this is fair use, of getting permission or payment to the copyright holder. So you don't need the copyright holder's permission or payment. Now, you might have a million questions about that, and this podcast is not the time for that. Like, this is an ongoing debate. There's ongoing things in court. Here's what you need to know. The court rulings have been very favorable towards creators to give us the ability to use fair use in our YouTube content and our content across the internet. But what I can't promise you is that videos won't get flagged. On Charisma on Command, a lot of times their videos don't have any drama. They don't get flagged. But whenever they talk about the UFC, for example, to talk about Conor McGregor or big fights or big profile fights, almost instantly those videos get flagged. Now check it out. You can dispute those claims and say, no, it's fair use. This is used properly. And so Charisma on Command disputes those. It oftentimes takes weeks or even months. They win eventually, but a lot of times they lose out on the monetization while the video is kind of in purgatory. It's just in that middle world of waiting until there's clarity on that particular video. But here's the thing. If you're going to use this strategy, you can't be afraid of that. You need to be wise, do your research. You can look up fair use and there's good YouTube videos on it. And it's an evolving thing. And it's more than part, it is the essence of influence drafting that you have to be comfortable with to realize it's a skill set you got to develop. And you might say, I don't even want to deal with it. I just want to always be on camera. I just want to do my own thing. Remember, this is just one tool in your tool belt. We got so many tools for you. That's the point of this podcast. That's the point of our upcoming challenge. That's the point of our annual event coming up soon, Grow with Video Live, is to give you the tools to pick the tools you want to use. Different people use different tools to even get to the same end destination. But fair use is the way these channels are doing it, and they're continuing to use nuanced strategies around that so that they can ultimately draft off the influence of celebrities, athletes, movies, trending headlines, news, political events, global events, all kinds of different things, using footage in brief excerpts, commentary, combining it all together to make videos that make a massive impact. So here's a couple formulas as we land the plane. Think about maybe even making a video like this. Sean, how would this apply to my niche? I'm not really connecting the dots yet. I see the power of it, but I'm not sure. Imagine just making a video like this, 3 lessons I learned from a famous person in your niche or your niche. Like coming up soon, I'm excited because I've learned a bunch of lessons from Dave Ramsey about YouTube. Maybe you've heard of Dave Ramsey. He's a personal finance guy, how to get out of debt, things like that. But so see, we teach YouTube, right? We're helping you with YouTube. We're helping you win on YouTube. So I'm tying in known person to lessons I've learned about YouTube because he's got 2 million subscribers and multiple other channels that have hundreds of thousands, and he's doing some cool strategies. So if you're not subscribed to the Think Media podcast, definitely subscribe, whether on the channel, Spotify, Apple, because that's coming up soon. But that is an example, right, of influence drafting. Well, listen, also adding value, doing your research, adding real value, real insights. Nobody really talks about Dave Ramsey that way. They think about, there's other perspectives on. I'm just looking at it through the lens of 3 lessons I've learned about YouTube from famous person in your niche or just in general. They don't actually have to be a famous person in your niche. They just are a known person, and you're extrapolating insights from their life, their business, their approach. Here's another one. Reacting to something someone influential did. So if you have the courage, again, you might agree with the person, you might disagree, you may just observe, you may use it as a point of jumping off to lead to something you teach or your book or your channel. But you could be, if you had a cooking channel, you could be trying Gordon Ramsay's recipe. You could go polarizing and you could go, Gordon Ramsay is a horrible cook. Like, it's up to you, but like you're reacting, you're saying, he did it this way, I'm going to do it this way. She did it this way. And here's another one. How to edit like famous YouTubers, like ex-famous YouTuber, how to edit like Mr. Beast. If you had an editing channel, today at the very time we're recording this podcast, Nolan Molt on the Think Media team released a video of 10 edits that famous YouTubers use. And he talked about Yes Theory, he talked about Mr. Beast, and he talked about Peter McKinnon. Those people are in the thumbnails. Their footage is in the video. It's a great example of fair use. And definitely check out our Think Media channel where you can see more about that. But I'm not saying that is your title. We help you with editing on our channel, Think Media. So you can tie in editing tips as opposed to, this is a Adobe Premiere tutorial. Welcome. We have that too. This is just a tool that you can use in your tool belt that can really help you draft behind someone that's really pushing views, pulling your video along with their influence. So ask yourself how to do X like a famous person on YouTube or in Hollywood that's related to what you do on your channel. My friend, I really believe that as you tap into influence surfing, AKA influence drafting, you'll be able to make a massive impact and potentially have a breakout video that grows your channel, grows your revenue, and ultimately grows your YouTube business. So try this one out and let us know how the results go.
All right, well, after those 2 episodes all about trend surfing, I hope you have a list of video ideas. What's the next video that you need to create? How are you going to incorporate trend surfing and influence drafting on your next video? Now, warning, warning, warning. If you are like me, you've probably made an entire list of videos and you're contemplating which one to do next. Maybe you're going to do some more research, but really what you're doing is procrastinating. Let me know if that is something you do. That's what I do when I get into the zone of research on YouTube. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to just press record. This is your time to find the trends and start surfing them. This is the time to figure out how you can do something in your niche that's different than other people are doing. I know you have it in you, and I want to just encourage you to not wait on this. This is your opportunity to build influence, to build authority, and to get views and subscribers on YouTube. So your chance right now, or not chance, but what you need to do next is make the video. And if you're still kind of stuck, you want to figure out what to do next, then you should make sure that you sign up for our 5-day challenge. It's right around the corner. And I recommend that all people who are content creators take one of our free challenges. This is the next one that we have of brand new content helping you get to your first 1,000 subscribers and first $1,000 on YouTube. If you've made those milestones already, don't worry. This challenge is for you as well because we're helping you go beyond that during this challenge. So 5 days coming right up. Make sure you register at tube1kchallenge.com. And if you are a part of the Think community and you've left a review over on iTunes. I keep saying iTunes. I don't even know if it's iTunes. Is it iTunes or podcast? Let me know in the comments if you're watching on YouTube where you're leaving these. You're leaving rates and reviews over on Apple. And when you do that, I'm able to actually read them here on the podcast. And today's comes from Lynn Love. Now, Lynn Love says, the Think Media team is amazing. And can I just shout out to the Think Media team? You see Heather and Sean here on camera, but there is an entire team of amazing people behind us making this podcast happen. So I want to shout out to our team, everyone over at Think Media. We are, 20 people deep, really making this whole company happen. So shout out to the team. Thank you, Lynn Love. She says, I've been following Think Media since I heard about them last year. Boy, am I glad I did. I'm glad you did too, Lynn. Now, if I can just find the time to put everything they have taught me to use trying to juggle work, school, starting my own nonprofit, get my qualifications for my nonprofit, and figure out how to use my YouTube to promote my nonprofit is a lot of work. I highly suggest if you want to start YouTube, follow them. They know what they are doing. Well, Lynn, I just want to encourage you and say you've got a lot on your plate, girl. And I know that it can be hard, but I remember myself 5 years ago, 10 years ago, listening to my mentors, being in such a place where I wasn't even able to be creating content, but I knew I needed to. And when I made that first step, when I just decided that I will do this until I figure it out, when I figured out if I can just keep it simple, right? If I can just make videos that are simple, that it would all work out. And so, Lynn, I want to encourage you that while you're doing all of that, just start getting a video out once a week. And Lynn, what video are you going to make that is all about trend surfing and influence surfing? Well, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We love hearing from our Think community in the YouTube comments and over on Apple. We are so grateful for your time. We know that you're probably listening to this while you're driving in your car or walking your dog or doing your dishes or doing your makeup like I do in the morning. And I just want to thank you for bringing us into your homes, for bringing us into your ears, and for being a part of this movement of creators who are making an impact in the world. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Not growing on YouTube? Learn the newest strategies for getting views and the best proven ways to make money at Grow with Video Live, a 2-day virtual conference, and you can get your tickets today at growwithvideolive.com.